happening, everyone? Another glorious day in Hexaco, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it? Richard tweeted. Richard did tweet a couple times. He did. We're going to talk about those and as well as Validator AMA. Yes. DGen Dougie, what's happening? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. AK win mainnet, sir. We'll be talking about that. It could be so close. Could be any day. Could have already happened. This could be a huge psyop. Never know. Never know. What's up, D-Hex Centralist? Yeah, when it's ready. I believe Richard might have mentioned that once or twice before. Godfather J6, what's happening, man? Good to see you as well. Nick P, I'm interested in automated scripts. Well, you came to the right place. We tend to automate some scripts around here. I will talk more about that as well. The Chad of the Chads of the Sauna Chads in the bloodline of the Chads is in the building. What's happening, man? Welcome. Glad to see you yesterday on the wealth mindset as well. That was a fantastic stream. I always learn a lot from those guys, and wow. I love doing those streams. I don't know, should we do a wealth mindset 4, 5? I don't know. I feel like 3 is a good number, but also I just get so much out of this. I get to discuss ideas that are like very important, but don't really fit into always crypto, but people actually come to listen. Like that's the hard thing to do. Like to get people to actually show up and participate and, scale the information while it not being, win mainnet or why is hex price down. Like that's like the hardest thing to do is create content that you can talk to people about. That's not the latest non-evergreen stuff. So definitely hope to do more like those in the future. Glad you all enjoyed it. But today we have Validator AMA. I've been working for the last couple of days on withdrawal stuff, trying to understand that, put it together. I was a little bit behind because I've been writing a bunch of other scripts as well. So I will pull the screen up, talk about mainnet first, and then we'll get into the AMA. Let's give a shout out to Richard Hart right now. What's up? What's happening, Papa Richard? Followers have been going up. We were at 307. It was like, and then 307.8 or 9. And then the FUD got real bad. And then went back down to like 308 or 307, whatever the base number was. And then shot up to 309 and now, or 308, and now 309.7. Almost breaking 310K. So Richard says, win mainnet, sir. Win mainnet. And then he follows up with when it's ready, which is soon. When it's soon, when it's ready. Circular logic, something like that. Lots of Gamma says LOL. Yeah, good stuff. That's your update. That's your PulseChain update. Is this a sign that we're exactly one week out now? 1 week until mainnet? Could be. Is this a sign that launches tomorrow? Could be. The indicators is what I can tell you. And the indicators are, I'll get into this when I talk about withdrawals, not everything is there yet. Let me pull up my Twitter, where I tend to tweet a lot lately, actually. And actually, if I do search without being logged in, we'll start crying about it. So let's see if I can just find it and it not block me. So indicators. Just scrolling. There we go. No, that's the validator stuff. I like this one. Come on. I know you're down there somewhere. I think it's before this one. Again, if I try to search and not logged in, it'll start crying about it. Maybe not let me look at Twitter at all. You never know. They've been locking stuff down more lately. All right. What are the actual nonfiction indicators for PulseChain launch? Hex LP being pulled. So I popped into Furu and Money Going Crypto on Furu's channel, and I just did a demo for how to run the LP scripts that I wrote a month ago. And I will show you. I'll just show you where they are, and you can look at, I'll try to clip that and show the demo later, but essentially, I'm pretty sure a month ago I saw that Hedron had, so for Hedron had 4 million a month ago. If you run it now, it's got about 3 million. So 25% in the last few weeks or so. And then Hex, pretty sure had 18 to 19 million maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now it has 13 million. I just pulled the numbers maybe 30 minutes ago. So that's quite a bit of change. So these are scripts. If you know how to use Python and command line, it's really not that hard. Again, I'll try to post that clip later of me on Furu and doing the demo. But you can track. You can get these numbers for Hex and Hedron, and you can use the track function to give you alerts based on setting your different thresholds. So that is another non-BS indicator. Again, I've been watching the new certificates, seeing if anything's been issued. Haven't seen anything yet for mainnet, but I've been anticipating it. DNS entries, again, it's a rollout. So not all this happens at once. It needs to happen over time. And over time could be quickly. It could be within a day or two. It could be with over a week or so. I don't think we've seen, and again, I still don't think we have limit orders on PulseX. I think we'll see more signals than what we're seeing now. I think Richard was just talking on Twitter because he wanted to give people something to talk about and stay excited for, because he believes it is soon, and we do too. However, I don't think that's a signal. I don't think it's a 24-hour notice. It wouldn't be noticed anyways, but if there were, I don't think when mainnet server is 24-hour notice. I could be wrong, but I don't personally believe so. Anyways, there's your mainnet news. See if there's anything here. Okay, yeah, everyone's actually here for Validator AMA. Cool. It's usually, I would say it's usually the opposite, but I sometimes expect the opposite, especially if I say I'm going to talk about mainnet or otherwise. So, I should put this in the chat, huh? Put it in there in case anybody wants to look at that. Again, just pulls data from Deck Screener. Now, let's talk about validators. PulseChain Validator. So quite a bit of new code. I've been updating the code. Sorry if I broke anyone lately on commits. I had an issue that hopefully I just fixed. I had a recommendation. It was actually really good. There's a guy in particular who's been recommending or suggesting some different stuff. It's actually really good data to help me understand, like, what people are looking for. I didn't think about that. That'd be good for me to use as well. So I started working on a snapshot script to do a snapshot of the blockchain. I don't know how practical it's going to be. Currently taking forever. It'll be like, I don't know, probably be like 24 hours before you can take compress one of the client's blockchain data. So if it's a snapshot script that takes 2 days, I mean, I guess it's still kind of useful if you want to back it up that way. However, what I plan on backing up is I'll be using AWS. I'll be using the cloud, unless I change my mind, for validating. Decentralization. I already went over that discussion, but if you're curious on my thoughts on that, feel free to ask a question. I can elaborate. And I've been practicing with AWS and doing snapshots on there. I can probably share that, or did I? Actually, I believe I did share that on the backups part. So I'll go over that as well before we get into withdrawals. Let's see, backups. Yeah. So drop this in the chat. Add some guidance for backups. I haven't added the snapshot script yet because, again, it's taken forever to test it because it takes forever to compress the data. But if you're using the cloud, specifically AWS, then you can do snapshots. And that's what Richard's talked about as well. A lot of devs are using AWS, it sounds like, for running validators because they're using Terraform, which is infrastructure as code type stuff. So you can just more repeatable DevOps things to spin up new instances with a set config, all that. And you can do snapshots of the disks that you use in the cloud. And so this is the process. I went through it, tested myself, works. I was able to back up my the validator server I had running, I was able to do a snapshot, create a new volume, and then create a new EC2 instance, load that volume, and then I had an exact copy of where I took the snapshot for the other validator. So for example, I'll talk about this more in tomorrow's AMA about security, and I think I'm talking about backups tomorrow then too. If you get hacked, for example, validator gets hacked, worst case that happens, they make you slash, they cause you downtime, blah, blah, blah. Without the seed words and stuff, they can't steal your funds. But if that does happen, and you have a snapshot that's recent, you can restore, you can create it, spin up a new server, for example. You probably switch out the disk there as well. I mean, that's another way of doing it, but you can essentially go back to the snapshot, again, the point in time to which you took of that server, of your validator server, restore it, and now you went back before the hack, the attack happened and all this stuff. Now you still got to figure out what happened, how they got in, otherwise they're going to get in again, but at least that's one way to figure out how to get them off the system, because you went back in time before it happened. If you have a snapshot that matches up for that. Let me know if that makes sense. But I have a bunch of stuff I added on that. A lot of people keep asking about hardware specs and stuff. I got it in the FAQ. I've got a hardware section. Hopefully, I keep telling people I have a hardware section. Do I have a hardware section? Pretty sure I do. Oh yeah, it's at the top. Hardware section, again, these are the minimum requirements. If you're going to do your own local backups, by the way, you might want to use the 4 terabyte or so, because the backups may be pretty big. You don't want to run out of this space just backing up your stuff. So these are the minimum requirements. So the minimum means, it doesn't give you a lot of flexibility if you need to use more resources for some reason. So I would say, the memory is fine. You could even do a 4 terabyte disk. So if you want to do local backups and, quad core, 4 to 8 vCPUs, I've got different recommendations for that on the cloud doc as well. One more thing on backups. Again, I'll probably go through this tomorrow as well, but if you want to do it at home on your server and not the cloud, there's different ways to do it using rsync. And I'm not currently testing that, so I don't have exact instructions, but I have a bunch of articles that will tell you how to do it. So if you're curious, you can take a look at those. I'm just not setting up that way, so it doesn't make sense for me to, I don't know, maybe I'll write a script or something for it later, but I'm not doing it that way. So it's hard for me to get time to test stuff on different things other than what I'm running my validator on. If that makes sense. Thank you, DHex. Appreciate that. I'm gonna go to the chat and see what's up for a second. Just got my monitor. I'm ready to set up my validator. Cool. Well, yeah, it is good to be able to see the computer you're working on. Indeed. So you got your monitor, validator, got your hardware. Cool, man. Welcome to the party. Almir, did snapshot happen already? Nobody knows. But again, there's one good time to differentiate. I don't care if people say snapshot, but you really need to understand that this is a fork. If you're worried that it's happened in the past, then maybe snapshot's not the most meaningful way for you to think about it. It's a fork, and you fork at a block height. And a block height can be treated in a lot of ways like a snapshot in the actual result of what's happening. But if I was forking a blockchain, I wouldn't fork at a block height that's weeks beforehand. I wouldn't do that. I don't know why a lot of people would do that either. Unless there's some kind of crazy game theory Rich is going off of. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I suspect the fork block height will be close to when PulseChain's actually launching. Could be a day, could be 3 days, could be within hours. Nobody knows. But yeah, for me, it makes sense. Hex Eddie. Yep, there you go. So let's talk about withdrawals. So I've got, I'm not ready to make a doc on this yet. I think I will put it in a doc or put it on the wiki. Oh, also added a graffiti section if anyone's interested. Crypto Vance, shout out to Crypto Vance, he's awesome. he was asking me to if I could add a section for this, and although it's not necessary, you can use it if you want to. But if you want to write graffiti on the blocks and stuff, feel free. As an example, you can, when people test the stuff, you can be like, Richard Hart was right, or you can be like, vote Democrat. God, that's kind of why, I don't know. I feel like hopefully the graffiti doesn't get political. Hopefully it's just like cool messages, but somebody's going to do something like that. People love drama. People love drama inside Twitter, outside Twitter. But once you participate in the drama, you become part of the drama and you start losing your peace. And it's usually a bunch of nonsense that will go away in a few days anyways. So that's why I try to stay away from it and use the buttons at my disposal appropriately. Mute button actually makes Twitter experience fantastic. You miss things sometimes, but however, if there's enough people talking about it, not a huge deal. But I think your community in general will start seeing blue skies once PulseChain launches and all that stuff too. At least it doesn't feel like January. Like, man, January, February was like, that was the bottom of the community, I believe. But yeah, D-Hacks, what's happening, man? All right, go into the chat, and then we will talk about ETH should be a reference on how launch will work. I hadn't really thought about the other Ethereum forks. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I wonder if anyone has a case study on Ethereum Fair and Ethereum POW on, I guess, obviously you take the block forkite and stuff, but I wonder if anyone's did like a baby documentary or something about what exactly happened and how you could compare that to what it look like for a PulseChain launch, like what new certificates were issued, I guess everyone knew when that was happening though, because we had all the information, but yeah, that'd be interesting to see the comparison of different forks and how the process worked and all that up to them. What's up, Patrice? Welcome. Of course. Sound advice, appreciate that. Lucius Corgo, I recommend having validators in Azure and Google Cloud for fault tolerance. Yeah, that's a good point for me to riff on, at least. A bunch of different cloud providers. I like AWS. I know it's the best. I've used it for years. There are definitely other ones. Microsoft, Azure, you have Google Cloud, you have Oracle as one, DigitalOcean stuff. For fault tolerance, I don't know. I think using one cloud provider for fault tolerance and just having like a DevOps plan around that would be okay. Because what are you protecting against? Like, do you suspect one of the cloud providers will go down? They're pretty good at uptime, billion-dollar companies. They have lots of customers who demand essentially 100% uptime. They call it 99.9 because time does go down. If it goes down for an hour, does that affect your validator? Minimally, I would say. Yeah, you might get some penalties, but overall, I think if you start using different cloud providers, I wouldn't want to, because then you got to learn all the different ways of doing things, all the technology. If you want to learn how to do it, I guess it's a great forcing function for you to have motivation to learn how to do it. But otherwise, that's a lot of different stuff going on. So I'd be curious if there's any other reason other than if something else goes down, you can switch it over, which I would think that if you stuck with one provider and use their fault tolerance stuff, which I don't have a lot of experience with, but I imagine it would be easier to stick with one and just have different failover systems within the same cloud. That way you can sort of like log in and figure it out as you need to, or use the CLI. Anyways, if you have more on that, I'd love to hear about it. Why is X pumping right now? I imagine it's because when mainnets are, I imagine. And if you bought Hex this morning, some of us did. I think some of us did. And we were happy to see that price finally went up because Big Man wrote a funny tweet. All right, let's talk about withdrawals. Let me bring up my I don't want to bring up I don't want to make the doc yet or make the guidance yet because it's not complete. And I think you need to be careful with this stuff. However, I can sort of read from some of my notes and go through the process of what I believe it to be so far. And I'll give you some nuance around that too. So withdrawals. You can, if you haven't already set your withdrawal key, and let's see, let me put it on the section because I updated this as well to add the ETHW key. Yeah, so I added this command here too. So make sure when you're doing if you're generating a new set of validator keys, you use ETH1 withdrawal address. There's also a synonymous one like it's called execution address or something like that, but a lot of people have been, using this one. So make sure you have access to that wallet. Treat it as your money. Access to this wallet equals your deposit money, getting it back at some point. So I added this recently, and before I generated mine without doing that because I think I just didn't even know you could do that when I first started learning about all this stuff. And if you didn't do this, you need to convert. It's like, what's it called? I almost said BLM. BLS to JSON, BLS to execution method. So you basically, if you didn't do this when you generated keys, you need to convert your keys. You need to update your keys essentially to have a withdrawal address. And once you do that, you need to broadcast that on the network. So that's the part I'm missing right now. And I was talking to Gamma about this morning in the Gamma DevOps chat. I was like, hey, I did all these steps. I got all this documentation for how to update the keys. I know how to exit the validator finally. That took forever to figure out how to do that. I was like, do I do some curl command against one of the clients? And then I finally kept reading the documentation over and over and over. And I was like, oh God, okay. So actually when you exit, the validator clients themselves allow you to do that. So there's a special command you need to run to exit. But you need to broadcast the new JSON file with Launchpad. Right now, I was talking to Gamma about this. I was like, hey, where do I do that? Because all the tutorials I've been looking at, they say use this tool at the Ethereum Beacon Chain Explorer, which doesn't exist for us. So is there equivalent? And he said that the devs haven't added it yet. So again, maybe it's an indicator for how close we are to launch. If, it's not a critical feature, but it'll be nice that that we launch with I guess you don't have to launch with that. It is kind of like this case, kind of corner case, but which, you would think that you would want everything to be buttoned up and nice at launch. So people who happen to generate their keys without a withdrawal address are able to do that. It can totally happen after launch, but just saying, that's one thing that's missing apparently. So I can't complete the instructions. I can't complete the guidance without that being enabled because that's the second step. You need to broadcast the updated keys. However, if you already did that part, so it's also hard for me to test the other side because I guess I could go through and generate the keys and test it again. But again, I feel like we're so close to mainnet launch. I don't even know if I want to do that. So I've been kind of going back and forth hey, I'm kind of in a rush to get all this validator stuff out before mainnet so people know what to do when they get to mainnet. But not all the features are enabled on the Launchpad yet. So hopefully, I don't know. I want PulseChain to launch soon, but also I'm it'd be nice if it launched in a week or so I could, and hopefully the devs added that to Launchpad so I could complete the process and give people withdrawal information. So I'm kind of blocked on that right now. Otherwise, I went through the entire process to do it. So I've converted the keys and I know how to exit the validator and all that. You can exit, I believe you can exit per validator too. It's actually pretty interesting and pretty well thought out the way they did it. But it took me a while to wrap my head around it. So I've been sort of like, it's always surprised me. I always think like, I've been in tech for a long time. I've been doing this stuff for 2 or 3 months as far as the validators, and there's still things that are hard for me. And it's kind of, I'm not saying I'm super smart. My point is, I think that's why it's so important to have these AMAs and create the documentation and create the automated scripts, because I know if I'm having trouble with it, man, it's going to be hard for a lot of other people to get it who don't have that experience. So I think it's definitely motivating. Like when I'm having a hard time, it's motivating. I'm like, man, I need to, if I can get this right, I could probably help a lot of people with it, and they want to struggle for hours and hours like I do sometimes. So 3 steps again, high level. You need to update your keys. If you didn't set a withdrawal address, then broadcast your updated keys essentially with Launchpad, which is currently not available. Please PulseChain devs when available. And then you can exit the validator. And I think the whole process takes maybe like a day or a couple days or something. I haven't did the whole process yet, but this is where I've came to. Now, if you set the withdrawal address, I believe, yeah, so you can still go to the, let's see, let me bring up the Launchpad real quick. I'll look at chat in just a second. Let me pull up the Launchpad. Yeah, so this is where you can check and see. There's actually a really good video to explain this stuff as well. Maybe I'll throw that in the chat too. Put this in here. So you can check if your validator has withdrawals enabled by putting in its index, and then you can click to verify. And if it's 00, that means the keys were generated without a withdrawal address. If it's 01, it means it did, and then you should be good to go. I haven't tested it because I created my keys with that one, so I'm figuring out that corner case. A lot of information here. So you go here to check that out, and then you can figure this stuff out too. Again, I wish I could share all the information. I'm afraid if I share it, then people get halfway through and not. Yeah, reach out to me directly if you want some of the instructions. I just don't want to share this right now because it's just not complete, and I really want to make sure it's complete and solid before I share it. Maybe I can share some of the broadcasting though. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know if you all want me to share the broadcasting instructions again. Maybe I will. Okay, maybe I won't share the withdrawals. Maybe I won't share the how to do the conversion, how to upgrade your keys. But I could share the how to exit and stuff. Let me do that. Be a very short doc, but here's just some instructions for that. So let's be PulseChain. Before, this would be exiting your validator. A disclaimer that says use at your own risk, because again, these instructions are incomplete, but I feel like they could be helpful. So give me just a moment and I'll format them correctly and I'll share them. All right. Okay, I will share this doc again. Only use it as a reference to wrap your head around doing it. I have not fully tested it in the process yet. I just want to share it so you can understand how to do it with Lighthouse. So I'll put that in the chat. Yeah, and we are on testnet. I just don't want anyone to use this for mainnet. Put this in here too. Not use on PulseChain mainnet. Not tested. And I'll come with another doc later. So I guess I can put that on the screen now. Again, not fully tested, but something for educational purposes we can look at. So you want to do it as a node user, so you can talk to Lighthouse. And then you do account validator exit. This is signaling your exit on the testnet v4 using your key store. So this was a tricky one. The key store, because you don't have to use this in any other part of the process until you do this. Key store is not your validator keys. It is in the home directory where you're running everything in .lighthouse and PulseChain testnet v4 validators 0x. So the validator public key that you want to exit in particular, pick that one. That's the one you want to use. And in that folder, because each validator has its own key store within this directory, in there's a JSON file called keystore dash a bunch of stuff. And that's the one you would provide. And then it'll ask you for your key store password. So that's your, you have this, what you generated when you did your seed words and stuff, password, and then your exit phrase, which is here. You just go there. It'll tell you what the exit phrase is. Pretty simple. I just put that there to make sure people go there and actually read about the stuff. And when you're finished, the client will say, if everything goes well, successfully validated, and then publish the voluntary exit. And then if you want to check the status, you go on the Beacon Explorer and give it the public key of the validator, that same one you set up here. And then you can see that it's like pulsing green, going from active to exit. Again, it's not fully tested. This is just the process that I was messing around with. I don't want to publish the full thing until I've got to test it end to end. But just to give you an idea, that's what it looks like. Let's just type something in here. Yeah, so I just typed a random index in here. Draw credentials, validator index. Yeah, withdrawals also not enabled on this one. And that's probably like a dev node though anyways. What's happening, footsteps? All right, I'm gonna look at the chat, see what's up. Will you set up my validator, sir? Well, you know my no monetization policy there, Sloth. So maybe if you pay me nothing, I will set up a validator in your name, in your honor. Exactly, Patrice. No profit from the work. Work spelled like twerk. I like it. How is it profitable to spend time with thanks? Oh. Come to Miami. I'll show you. We'll have a good time. You and the rest of the Hexicans. Delayed gratification. It's true. It's true. It's gonna be famous. Yeah. Red Squirrel, what's happening, man? Yeah, this is your time zone, huh? What's up, man? Yeah, that's why I started being a validator. I never thought it'd be profitable, honestly. Not anytime soon, at least. I just wanted to teach people about it. I wanted to learn first. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is useful. It's never going to not be useful information to know how blockchains work and how validators work. And I was like, yeah, it's probably not going to be profitable for a while. And then the API went up. And I was like, whoa, it's actually profitable. Cool. Yes, sir. I did do that. It's in the chat. Right there. Just launched mainnet already. Yeah, let me press the button here. Let me launch. No, not available yet. Not ready. I think this means not ready. So when it's ready, Richard will launch. It's true. It's true. What's up, D-Based? Welcome, welcome. It's like the shirt, by the way. At the bottom it says, not trying to be a thousandaire. Not trying to be a thousandaire. It's original phrase. Trademarked. Not trademarked, but I like it. Never heard anyone else say it, so I may be the first person. Or not. It's good phrase though. What's up, Element Hex? Of course. Good to share some info. I'll wrap up. Anyone have any questions? Anyone? Usually I get some like validators broken, like not working folder, command not working questions. Anybody got anything? This is your time. This is your time to shine. Or your time to tell me what's broken, because I apologize. I did break one of the scripts with an update yesterday. Again, somebody reported it. Really appreciate it. 99 commits. Wow. Yeah. I mean, a lot of them are small commits, but yeah, I know I was like scrambling before the stream. I kept testing the fix because I broke the setup script last night because I pushed some stuff, and which worked fine in my environment, but I understand why it didn't work because there's two different scenarios for it. So I tested the other scenario and it kept breaking this morning. And I finally pushed something that I'm testing right now that I hope it works. So sorry about that. I aim to not break the build. I try not to break the scripts, but you got to balance innovation with it's less innovation and more like lack of testing and fast putting it out. You got to balance the frequency of updates with the amount of testing and not breaking. But I'm glad if something does break in the repo, if some script isn't working or whatever, please let me know. If something's not working, go to issues. You got to have an account, but create new issue and then just tell me what's wrong and describe it. Like, look at this one. Yeah. Or if you just have an idea of something, it helps me track it too. And then when I do it, I can tell you like, oh, here's, I updated the setup script, here it is. Click on that. You can see what changed, all that stuff. So if you have something does break or you just want to toss an idea around, feel free, create a new issue. And it doesn't have to be a bug. It can just be like, hey, this will be cool, or I want to use this. And I'm not saying I'll implement everything, but it helps give me feedback on what people are looking for too. And a lot of stuff I can use I just haven't even thought of yet. So win-win. Try to keep it win-win. Element Hex. So I messed up my script. I put Fedor's deposit address in there, and following his script, how do I erase that info from my script folder? I don't know what Fedor's deposit address is because I haven't used his script. I know a lot of people do. It's probably the most popular one, but I haven't myself. How do I erase that info from my script folder? When you say script folder, I'm not sure what you mean. There's blockchain folders. There's client folders, like wherever you set that up. But if you're using a different script, I would just say, use a clean operating system. I don't know if he has reset scripts or not, but for example, when you run my script, you can use the reset script and it will delete everything. So this is one update I had recently, which was somebody suggested it in an issue like, hey, do you have a way not to delete the blockchain data? Because I want to reset it. The idea would be, I want to reset the validator, but I may have been syncing before. Something's wrong, but I don't, it would be faster if I don't have to resync the stuff again. Great idea. I didn't even think about that. So by default now, I'm going to update this script. I had to update the setup script, which caused me to break it and all this stuff, but it was a great idea, so it's worth it. So now it will delete everything. When you run this, it'll delete everything in the blockchain folders, in the Geth and Lighthouse directories, except the blockchain data, the data folder in the Geth, and the beacon folder in the Lighthouse. But if you set this to true, and you do want to remove everything, then it will just remove everything. Remove, force, recursive, everything. So you can change it if you want to delete the blockchain data too, but you don't need to. It's not necessary to reset the validator in most cases. So point being, if you use my script and you want to reset things, you can just run the script and then run the setup script again. But I don't know if a Feder script does that. I don't know if other people's, you can easily reset it, or if you just need to like format and install again, or just delete folders. Maybe you just need to delete. See, this is where my script installs stuff, but I don't know where other people do. So maybe you just need to delete those directories and stuff. But no, actually, Feder script uses Docker. So you need to delete the containers at that point, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't want to give advice on scripts I haven't used. Maybe just ask him, like, how do I reset things if it doesn't work out? But with my script, this is how I do it, at least. Hope that makes sense. There you go. Yeah, if you're using my script, just run the reset. Yeah. Appreciate that. Of course, of course. I've been a professional doing this for a long time. Professional as in tech. I've been writing scripts for a long time. So a lot of this stuff's just natural to me. It just takes time, brain power, but it comes, I've had this experience professionally. So if you have experiences you have professionally that can be useful in the community, you can choose to share that. And yeah, that's what I choose to do. Yes, says wrong container. Yeah, I don't know. You have to check on, maybe Feder will have like a reset list of commands for his stuff, or maybe there's an easy way to do it. I'm not sure. But if you have a clean box, you have a clean server, and you run these, then these help you do different things. Reset the validators. You can reset monitoring. You install Grafana and stuff. This will like remove Grafana, help you do a bunch of stuff. Yeah, so I added the description. So this has got all that stuff there telling you like what this repo has. I added a table of contents because I knew there's a ton of stuff on the repo. So now that has a table of contents, I'll try to keep up to date. So you can just quickly click on something. Oh, I want to know about the client update script. Click on it. Boom. Tells you about that. And the client update script is this one. Update client. Which was a little tricky to get working too, but so far, so good on that one. Cool. Yeah, you can do that. What's up, wonderful? How do you check certificate transparency logs? Ooh, I've got to, let's see, have I explained exactly how to, yeah, I had a couple videos explaining how to do it, but let me see. So I use a service to do it for me. Transparency. And there's a bunch of different ways to do it. A bunch of different services that provide it too. Yeah, this is the process of like, when you're spinning up a new thing, you want a certificate for it to do HTTPS, you send it to all these things, you got certificate authorities, you got other, pieces in the process. So cool. Yeah, this is pretty cool. It tells you how it works. Now, how to subscribe for updates is another question. So I wonder if there's any like free online tools that'll just let you, because there's paid services that let you sign up for alerts and stuff, but there may be some free stuff. Let's see. Expired domains. Cool. Yeah, this looks like some V2 stuff. Let's do valid from, can I do issued? Valid from. yeah, actually this is giving you some information. So here you go. So if you use this and use PulseChain.com, for example, and you can use PulseX and stuff too, this can tell you that certificates issued, and I've seen this information already. They did some issued some certs for testnet v4 for the WebSockets API or for the WebSocket service running, RPC service running. They did some certs on that on May 1st. And then you see different v4 stuff here and all that. I think I have a little bit better source information, but this can tell you some basics. Let's see, let's do pulsex.com. Yeah, you can see, yeah, some stuff for PulseX. You can do Hex. You can do, let's do PulseRamp. Yeah, I remember when tokens.PulseRamp was, I remember seeing that as well, which is just, I think it's just a JSON API. Let's see. This thing not. Yeah, I think it's just like a JSON API for the website for different services to use. Nothing super important that I can tell, at least. Looks like just a JSON endpoint for different stuff that PulseRamp talks about. So yeah, there you go. You can do some basic certificate transparency searches. All this public information, you just gotta know how to use it. So you can do it right there. So good question, wonderful. That is a good question. Any other, of course. Any other, okay, it says wrong container. Yeah, I have no idea, man. I have no idea. Oh, did I already answer this? Sorry about that. Yeah, I do not do technical support for any other scripts other than this one, and I tried to limit that except to these AMAs. However, yes, we do have reset scripts here to make that a little bit easier. All right, everyone. Any other questions? I'm going to wrap up for number 8, Validator AMA. I will do number 9 tomorrow. I want to do this one because I want to talk about withdrawals and stuff. Mainnet could be launching anytime, so I wanted to get as many AMAs on testnet, help people as much as we can get prepared, because you do not want to make mistakes on mainnet. Not every mistake is a critical mistake on mainnet, but the ideal situation is you get all the mistakes done on testnet, you learn your lessons on testnet, get all of that out of the way. Mainnet comes, you're much more prepared, much less likely to make mistakes, especially the mistakes that can cost you money. So we don't want to do that. And that is all I got, everyone. So enjoy the rest of your day. And just wrapping up here myself. Scivive 5555. We are out.